I mean, just think of what we got so far. We have at 10, at 9, and Rossi at 8. The tone's being set for chaos. Top 10? You have this game in the top 10? Ahead of Spelunky? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be reacting to the top 10 roguelikes of all time by IGN. With permission. Thanks, IGN. We're not going to hold anything back. We're not going to reveal our top 10, but we are going to launch shots at theirs. Let's see what this is.
3 different video game fans to define what a roguelike is, and chances are you're likely going to get 3 very different responses.
You know what? I'm with you on that.
We're just going to bundle them all together for our picks of the top 10. Best roguelikes of all time.
Number 10. What do we got here? Wow. Gungeon at 10? I'm not saying that's a top 6 for us, but that's okay.
Maybe the number 10 spot on our list,
There,
but it's number 10 with a bullet, or 1,000.
This is a extremely well polished. I mean, it's putting it at 10. I mean, a 9 through 1 are maybe games that are just mind blowing we've never heard of.
Never before has a game been so gun-themed, with the entire concept of a Gungeon carried through to a level of detail we didn't think possible.
Never has a game ever been so gun-themed. Akita from Escape from Tarkov would like a word with you.
Between the excellent bullet hell dodgy gameplay, the plethora of weapons, and the dozens of cheeky references and Easter eggs, Enter the Gungeon more than earns its place on the list of the best roguelikes.
Number 9. Wow, that's a reach. That's a reach into the breach in the top 10. Look, it's good, but it's a little bit of a reach into the breach. Above Gungeon?
Sire, they have stolen the money transport.
It's good, but top 10?
The follow-up to FTL from developer Subset Games doesn't fly
snoozy.
quite as high on this list as its predecessor, but Into the Breach is undoubtedly one of the most nuanced and strategic roguelikes around.
I would put this game as the best mobile roguelike.
Only all the chess pieces are replaced by giant
It's a
mechs
great mobile
fighting back a
roguelike.
city-destroying
That's what it's
kaiju
for.
threat. Each encounter could only be a handful of turns long, but the amount of choice you have
I did
during
like
those
the game,
turns
though.
is staggering.
You could see us playing Into the Breach on GameTune if you live in Europe or the sending regions around it.
And moves far into the future in order to address both what they're doing now and what they could do down the line.
Sounds like Mathis. Okay, before we get to 8, I will say this. Like, through the rest of this video, I will recognize a game is good or great even if we don't play it. Like, Into the Breach is good, but putting it ahead of Gungeon, I can't co-sign this. And then Rogue Legacy coming in at 8?
Prior to 2013,
I like
no one would have ever imagined that the roguelike genre would fit so snugly with a Metroidvania style of design.
I mean, just think of what we got so far. We have Gungeon at 10, Into the Breach at 9, and Rogue Legacy at 8. The tone's being set for chaos on the next 7 draft
Quite
picks.
groundbreaking. Apart from being influential, though, Rogue Legacy was also just a great game. With the aforementioned excellent progression, a fantastic blend of difficult bullet hellish combat with intense platforming challenges, and really clever procedural generation that made sure no 2 runs ever felt
I wouldn't put
alike.
it in the Pantheon, though. Okay. So we played Rogue. We've never played Nethack, but let's tip the cap here.
Nethack could be the
That's not my mouse cursor. That's not my mouse cursor.
deepest PC game ever made. Sound like hyperbole? Consider that there are well over 1,000 ways to die, from being petrified while swallowing a cockatrice whole to falling into a sink. It's a long story.
All right, having never played Nethack but played Rogue within the past 2 weeks, it's really impressive what they're able to do with just a bunch of 1s and 0s back in the day.
Of magical breathing. Winning isn't so much the point as exploring its many, many different systems. If you want to understand where Spelunky, Hades, and Returnal came from, then look to Nethack.
The Spelunkies, Hades, and Returnal just put in the same sentence.
24-hour ban. Permanent.
Dead Cells at number 6, okay.
The just one more round philosophy of a great roguelike by empowering you with lightning fast movement and twitchy combat in a 2D side-scrolling space.
I'll give Dead Cells this. It's a fun game. I think it's one of the first games I ever played with Twitch integration done like fairly interesting. My knock on this game, and I love like platformers like this, platforming roguelikes, the biomes, like there was no diversity. It felt like you're
mastering your
playing the same game, except Jay just put a different Photoshop filter over it.
Reflexes makes for an extremely satisfying loop. Throw in some large, devastating bosses, and you have a recipe for near infinite replayability.
The music was good too, man. You hear the music?
One of the best games in its class.
Hey, it's Dan. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. It helps out a ton. Thank you. Okay. Now, my problem with this is FTL is amazing. Into the Breach starting to be like a little samey, right? I think this encompasses both. This is a great game though. I think it's
one of
top
sci-fi's
5.
greatest spaceship captains once said, pursued by evil rebels and faced with hostile aliens and tough life and death decisions at nearly every turn, your dinky spaceship doesn't have much of a chance of accomplishing its mission. But that hint of a chance is all you need.
This is a great airplane game too, by the way. I played this a lot on airplanes, on mobile devices. I think it's a great roguelike, and it's not necessarily in our wheelhouse of like highfalutin action, but it's still good.
Building up your ship with the best crew,
because especially during the time there was nothing else like this,
in the hopes of surviving going toe-to-toe against a massive enemy mothership, is a fantastically repeatable challenge, especially once you've unlocked some additional ships with new configurations.
Did Mathis actually do this VO?
Let's go.
Are you kidding me?
Innovative, yes. First to do the card roguelike, yes. Top 4?
Every roguelike asks you to play the hand you're dealt, as it deals out all manner of unpredictable upgrades to work with. But Slay the Spire's deck-building design takes that idiom much more literally than most.
You got a handful that they got to squeeze in the top 3, and one of them's going to get squeezed out.
If you happen into the right combination of character class, modifying relics, and powerful cards,
what's the shrug card? There it is! Shrug it off!
Whose apparent strength is summonable
best card in the game.
And powerful.
Best card in the game. Get some dang yeet. This game, I'll tip the cap. This game helped invent the front seat for sure. But this is maybe the greatest front seating roguelike of all time. I'll put that on. I'll put that on its name.
Warrior can turn into a vampiric powerhouse who sacrifices his own health to do damage. More than that, the fundamentals can go out the window.
Can't believe it.
Sire.
3? There's still room for Spelunky 1 to be in slots 2 or 1.
Both the original freeware version of Spelunky and its 2008 HD remake had such a monumental impact on this genre.
It's amazing,
of roguelikes
Derek,
that, without its influence, it's honestly tough to even imagine most of the games on this list even existing. Spelunky 2, released 12 years later, somehow managed to take all the elements of that genre-defining game and improve upon them without ever sacrificing any of the procedurally generated magic that made Spelunky so special.
Dun, 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 Derek, you.
Spelunky 2, like its predecessors before it, is quite simply one of the most shining examples of emergent gameplay throughout all of video games. And the stories of both glorious triumph and heartbreaking failure are what make it unforgettable.
I don't know how he made this, man. This was... Top 10? You have this game in the top 10? Ahead of Spelunky? Transistor called. They want their graphics back.
Is where Hades shines. Or you can just improve your weapons through unlocking weapon aspects, transforming each base weapon in the game into unique variants with its own playstyle. With so many reward loops that the player gets to revisit even after failed attempts, Hades never feels like it's wasting your time. Failed runs feel like just part of the story. And navigating the hellish obstacles of Hades on following attempts is frantic, fun, and always exciting thanks to various power-ups that come in the form of godly favors called boons. It collected numerous Game of the Year awards last year, including our own.
So you're telling me there's a little bit of, how would you say, quid pro quo a little bit of acceptable. Let's hear what Mathis has to say about it.
At first glance, one might assume that The Binding of Isaac appears to be some sort of nightmarish, abominable take on the original Legend of Zelda's top-down dungeons.
But
which isn't wrong.
That's
pretty much exactly how the original game was conceived in 2011. But swap out Zelda's peppy elf protagonist and deliberately bespoke level design.
Link's an elf?
A deformed child making its way through endlessly harrowing and procedurally generated grotesque caverns, and you'll start to see how Isaac stands on its own. Isaac ultimately plays like a twin-stick shooter, just with dozens of passive and active power-ups to experiment with. A decade since its release, The Binding of Isaac not only remains one of the most influential games in its genre, but also the greatest. And that's our list. This was a really hard list to
Let us know what you think about it in the comments below.
Like Darkest Dungeon,
that belongs
and even
in
some
there.
new games like Returnal and Curse of the Dead Gods just missed the list for one reason or another. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And for more top 10s, make sure to check out our picks for the top 10 twists in video games. And for everything else,
I'll let you know our thoughts in the comments. Never mind, I already wrote a comment here. Simply Derek you. All right. Well, that was our reacting to IGN's top 10 roguelikes of all time. Do we agree with it? No. Are there some in there that aren't in the top 20? Yes. Was Hades a complete stretch? Yes. Did they get some right? Yes. That's the thing about top 10s. Feel some kind of way about it. Maybe one day we'll do our own top 10 and IGN can react to it. Want to catch up on the Dan Gheesling Show because you can't catch it live on Twitch? Then go to youtube.com/DanGheeslingPlays. There you'll find every single one of our live shows cut up in an easily digestible episode for your viewing pleasure. Episodes are up within a couple days of the show, so you're never too far behind if you want to catch up and watch live. That's youtube.com/DanGheeslingPlays to watch anything you might have missed on Twitch.